Welcome to a special bonus edition of Locked On Lakers. The Lakers were whole again tonight and everybody was available, but that is not the same thing as everyone showing up. I will break down what happened during this bleep show coming up next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on weekends, always free, never behind a paywall. And for those who like to watch Locked On Lakers on YouTube, the sickos who like to watch, it is a community of 34,000 plus subscribers who are very active in the chat. We like to include your comments, your feedback, all that stuff into the show. Thank you as always for being there. Thank you, whether you are listening, whether you are viewing, for subscribing. Make sure that you are always subscribing so you can get the latest shows and everything up to date, all of that good stuff. Lakers lose tonight 146-115 to the Chicago Bulls. In the crypt, this game was in LA, although oddly enough, the Bulls are actually better on the road than they are at home, despite being 31-40. They are 18-18 away from whatever the hell they call that building in Chicago these days. And look, on the plus side and big picture, this is what matters most. The Lakers are healthy again. LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, both return. Rui came off the bench tonight, and per Mike Trudell during the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcast, their sideline reporter, friend of the show, Rui was likely on a minutes limit tonight. He played just 18 minutes, and Dorian Finney-Smith started. I don't know if that's going to be permanent for the rotation or not. We'll see. And while I don't think this was LeBron's sharpest effort, he finished with 17 points, 7 of 16 from the field, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, did have 5 turnovers. The stat line itself isn't awful, but I thought it took LeBron a while to get going in this game. He finished the first half with just 5 points, 2 of 8 shooting, but he looked healthy. Like, LeBron did not look like he was holding back anything physically tonight. He looked active. He had a few big plays in transition. I thought he moved well. So that's the most important thing moving forward. I do not anticipate LeBron remaining out of sync particularly long. So those are the positives tonight in terms of, again, the big picture, getting LeBron and Rui back. And hopefully the Lakers can remain intact with the rotation for the remaining games, really try to sharpen themselves up before the playoffs begin. And let me tell you something, tonight, the return of LeBron and Rui is about the best thing you can say about this game, because they were very, very bad tonight. This was the most points that they've given up all season, 146. They looked progressively worse as the game went along. Like, other than Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, nobody seemed particularly in any type of rhythm at all. And then once the second half rolled around, even Luka and Austin started looking progressively like the rest of these guys. I mean, frankly, the team was dreadful in the second half. And Daman Rangula, great Lakers follow on Twitter, friend of Locked On Lakers, he had a tweet that said, quote, "Lakers got some players back. Everybody took a sigh of relief, thinking this would be so much easier now. Disrespected the Bulls as an opponent tonight. They F-A-F-O, F'd around, found out." And as I retweeted, I don't know if that's the entire story, but it was definitely several chapters of this book. And it's not excusable, like in the most literal sense, like when you take into account everything that is at stake these days for the Lakers, trying to get as high as they can in the standings, try to make up some of the ground that they lost during that brutal stretch with 6 games in 8 days, guys in and out of the lineup. And also knowing, too, Chicago is trying to, at minimum, rise as high as they can in the play-in. Like, Chicago, for better or for worse, they refuse to ever rebuild. And you knew going into this game, Chicago's better on the road than they are at home, and they want this game. So that should have been something that at minimum would have kept the Lakers' attention. So again, it's not excusable, but it's kind of predictable and on some level understandable from a psychological standpoint. Again, not the same thing excusable, but they have been playing a brutal stretch of games with multiple back-to-backs, guys in and out of the lineup, hard road trip. And there is a sense of comfort when you think, okay, the gang is all here again, and maybe it will be a little bit easier tonight, especially against a sub 500 team. God, we could use something easy these days. Maybe we can take a breath and relax. And they relaxed too much, whether you're talking about how hard they did not play on the court, the total lack of focus, the lack of execution, all that stuff. And JJ Redick after the game said, quote, the disposition and the mentality. I don't know if we assumed because we had everybody back, it would be like it was just going to be like it was 3 weeks ago. And that's not the way this works. I think the guys know that, and I'm not saying that's what they assumed. You'll have to ask them that. But let's be honest, if JJ did not think that was a factor, you don't put that out there. Like, you put that out there at the very least to have guys account for it, like to get asked about it and to make sure they get asked about it, because they probably were going to anyway. But when JJ says it, that guarantees that they will. And it is sending a message. And JJ also said, look, there's a grace. He's talked about grace being a theme of this season because there's been a lot that's gone on. And he said the group gets some grace because of everything I talked about before. Like, the last 3 weeks were really difficult for them. This was a difficult few weeks. The group had been very connected. Then you lose some guys, some availability, you lose some games. It creates a disconnect, and they got to get reconnected. And JJ said, I love my team. I love these guys. It was very positive. But then in saying the truth, also said, getting reconnected, quote, it's got to be now. Like, they don't have a lot of time. He said, like, this begins Monday morning in the film session, the walkthrough for the game against the Magic. Sunday, they're obviously going to be on a plane flying to Orlando. But this was a game where they felt like they were mentally a bit checked out and like mentally trying to maybe give themselves a bit of a break. And in some ways, it turned Luka Doncic going ham in the first half. I mean, he was incredible. He had 29 points, 9 of 14 from the field, 7 of 10 from behind the arc in less than 19 minutes. Like, it's obviously really helpful getting that type of performance. It can be breathtaking to watch. Like, seeing a guy put up that many step back threes is amazing. But I think with the context of tonight, it was almost like a double-edged sword, because when you're talking about a team that already is dealing with some degree of complacency or lacking focus, and you've got a guy going nuclear like that, it can allow you to become even a little bit more complacent, maybe check a little bit more out. It allows you to lower your guard a little bit more, mind the details a little less. Brian, who could not be here, but Andy Kamenetzky, co-host of the show, brother Brian's typically here. He had a family thing, not anything serious, but he just wouldn't allow him to be here tonight. But he's watching the game, and he texted me, and I think this is true. It reminded him of some of the games in the past where Kobe would go nuts and guys would sometimes just stand around watching him go to work. And it's not uncommon with superstar performances. That can be the give and the take. And like I said, the double-edged sword of it. And the team was definitely not focused when it came to taking care of the ball. Like, they had 21 turnovers, and most of them were before JJ waved the white flag. I want to say with about 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I think JJ just recognized, and it was actually smart. They don't have it tonight. Let's avoid somebody getting unnecessarily injured in a game we're definitely not going to win. But most of the turnovers came before the white flag was out there. And like, even Luka, who was brilliant offensively, he had 7 turnovers. A few of them were just bad decisions, like trying to force lobs to Jackson Hayes when Stu Lance even notices in the broadcast, like he could have actually just gotten a layup if he went all the way in. Luka also he was very frustrated with Josh Giddey all game and got shoved from behind on a play where Chicago was, I think, looking for an offensive rebound. And he really did get pushed. It should have been a loose ball foul. But afterwards, he and Giddey were going back and forth. He gave Giddey a few shoves, got teed up. So frustration building up as they weren't playing well. LeBron had 5 turnovers. Jared Vanderbilt had 3. Like, this was one of the worst games Vando's played in a while. Like, he seemed to turn the ball over or lose the handle or get blocked like every time he touched it. And he also got 2 early fouls, which hurt his defensive aggressiveness and effectiveness in the first half. And Chicago turned those 21 turnovers into 27 points. And there were a few possessions where the Lakers got back defensively. Like, off the top of my head, I remember LeBron having a good sequence getting back. DFS once in the first half got back to block a layup. But for the most part, the Lakers were not good in transition. They got scrambled defensively, often even in the half court, but they gave up 44 points in the paint. JJ said, quote, "Our defense killed us. I thought we did a poor job contesting." And look, I don't want to take away from the Bulls' individual performances in this game because they had a lot of guys who just played really well. Like, Buzelis had 31 points. Mattis Buzelis, the rookie, really looks like he's going to be a good player. Josh Giddey, 15, 10, and 17, triple-double against just 2 turnovers. Pat Williams had 4 threes off the bench. Kobe White absolutely carved up the Lakers inside and out. 36 points on just 17 shots. He hit 6 threes. I mean, their performance was not just the byproduct of bad defense from the Lakers, because I don't think that's fair to them. Like, those guys really played well and they earned this win. That said, the defense was atrocious. And there was a tweet I saw from @IggyPop120, has been a longtime follower of Brian and I on Twitter @CamBrothers, who said, quote, "The Lakers defense isn't some schematic genius idea. It's just everyone plays hard. If they don't, then it falls apart." And while I don't think it's quite that simple, like, you don't distill it down that much, there's obviously strategy and precision and communication and everybody being hyper aware of what's going on. Like, that they have to do that often to offset lineups without a true center, things like that, or sometimes being the best sum of their parts. But Iggy Pop 120's point about the overarching point, the requisite defense, that is true. Like, the Lakers defense is fueled in very large part through effort. And it's impossible to pull off the type of defense that they play without effort. Like, the buy-in factor was something Brian and I talked about a lot earlier in the season when the defense was well below average. And, they weren't working hard enough then, and they did not work hard enough tonight. And that played a very large role in this loss. Like, in some respects, there's not even a ton to analyze just because they played so badly pretty across the board. I mean, defensively, it was pretty bad. Offensively, like I said, Luka was incredible in the first half. Austin Reeves, I thought he was pretty good in the first half too. And I thought reasonably solid for a lot of this game. He finished with 25 points, 9 of 13. Actually, I mean, Austin was part of the defensive issues with everyone else, but offensively, he did his best to keep him, 25 points and 5 assists from Austin. That's a efficient, it's a good night. Just, they did not have nearly enough contributions from everyone else. The bench, as far as the guys who actually played tonight, like real minutes, they had a combined 13 points from 4 guys. Speaking of the bench, and I thought this was interesting, probably the last thing I'll raise before we go, and Brian and I will obviously talk more for Sunday's show heading into Monday, but the rotation was different tonight, with everybody available, all hands on deck. And honestly, I didn't even notice until probably the fourth quarter, because there was so much waves, arms around mess happening. Like I said at the top, it was kind of a bleep show. But until garbage time, Dalton Connect was a DNP CD. And it's interesting because I don't know if that was a permanent thing moving forward, or JJ just wanting to take a look at some stuff because it's the first time he's had everybody available in a while. But You may recall earlier in the week, on the heels of the win against Denver, where Dalton played well, and Brian in particular wanted to dig into Dalton a bit and what he showed over March, where he's had a very good month. And I said during that show, like, yeah, he really has. And it's nice to see, like, he's really played well. His percentages are up, all that stuff. He looks like he's got that three going again, and that's all great. And big picture, I think Dalton's got a really nice future. But he struck me as the guy that is most likely to potentially lose his minutes or see them drastically cut once JJ does what most coaches do, and I expect he will, whittle down the rotation in the playoffs. LeBron, Luka, Austin, Rui, DFS, Jackson, Gabe, Jordan Goodwin, Jared Vanderbilt, like those 9 guys are not leaving the rotation anytime soon. And, Dalton could end up a situational guy, like certainly if scoring is needed or a zone needs to be busted, something like that. But I'm not surprised that maybe I'm surprised he was a DNP CD, but I'm not surprised that his minutes went down pretty dramatically. It was something I thought could happen and definitely something to keep an eye on. But like I said, this was a game that I think the Lakers are going to be looking to flush. I don't blame them. The important thing is they just use tonight as an example of what we cannot do again moving forward. And, it helps the Warriors lost tonight as well. Hopefully they don't lose much tangible ground in the standings and everybody moves forward. And assuming that they do, it can be okay in the end. It's just disappointing because this is one of those games that you, if not pen, certainly pretty deep pencil, this is a win, and you're going to have to make it up somewhere along the line. Again, we will be back full show on Sunday heading into Monday. But before we go, going to make sure that everybody knows that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wonder where did all the money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? It's easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending, all in one place. So you can just stop managing your money and you can start building your wealth, and you can enjoy convenience instead of juggling multiple apps. You can use Monarch to track finances, spending, even plan long-term goals. It helps you enjoy collaboration, like managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. And again, appreciate everybody being here. Make sure you're subscribing to Locked On Lakers wherever you get your podcasts, subscribing to YouTube for those watching, and we will see everybody for Monday.